All right, guys, happy Friday. See, it's hard to look at that, right? We're back. I have a guest today. My first guest is Dr. Susan Spicer. She is, man, we've had a great conversation this morning. And we've had a lot, and thanks to Tracy Stein, who's here. But let us know you can hear us or see us before I get into too much, because we have a lot to cover. She's got a fantastic story. She's got some fantastic things to share with you. And we want to make sure that you can hear us or see us. So, hey, guys. Hey, Carrie, give us a thumbs up. Let us know you can hear us or see us. I don't want her to start talking. And it's my biggest nightmare. Oh, good. He can hear us or see us. So Tracy's got it. All right. So welcome to the show. Happy Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. So we've got Instagram going, and then Dr. Spicer. Do you want me to call you Susan? Dr. Spicer?
Susie.
Okay, I can call you Susie.
Yeah.
Susie brought a light. It's called a social light, and I love it because I can't see the wrinkles that are up here. And she looks good in person anyway, but yeah, that lighting is awesome. All right, so Tracy Stein's here. He's our audience producer. He's in the background. Yes, we can hear you. He just posted. I love it. And he said you have to meet Susie. And so we have been trying to get this together for a while. It's been my fault and my schedule. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about you. Tell us about, I know you were born in Michigan.
Yes.
So let's hear a little bit about Susie Spicer.
I was born in Michigan, in a small town in northern Michigan, actually.
It's so cold.
It is cold. It's very cold. And my family owned a very large boat and snowmobile dealership. So I grew up boating and snowmobiling, and I grew up spending a lot of time outdoors. I grew up.
Isn't that what Michigan's all about, though, right? I mean,
yes.
Yeah, we don't really. I mean, I guess people do spend time outdoors here, but it's too hot.
Right.
Yeah, that's really cool. See, that wasn't part of your bio. That's cool. Something we know. You know, because sometimes it's hard. We were talking earlier about how it can be hard to share your story because maybe you haven't said it in a while, or maybe you haven't talked about it in a while. It's not part of your normal bio discussion.
Right.
So we were talking earlier, and I made it kind of a joke. I said you weren't born and then became a doctor of neuropsychology.
Got it. You got it right.
So what happened? What was the thing in your life, whether it was younger or college or whatever, to get you to that point? When did you go, this is what I want to do with my life?
Well, I kind of took an indirect route. I initially went to Central Michigan University to study psychology, and I ended up with a marketing degree.
Well, psychology kind of is marketing, but I love that switch. Why did you get out of psychology and into marketing?
Because I come from a very large family of entrepreneurs, and they very much motivated me. No, I got to have a business degree, and look at all the things that you can do with business. And I did. I utilized my business degree. I lived in Chicago.
I love Chicago.
I love Chicago too. Of all the Midwestern
also freezing,
cities.
but I still love it.
Yeah.
The food.
Oh, the food's great.
I know.
It's great. So I worked as a marketing rep in Chicago for a number of years, and decided then I really wanted to go back and become a psychologist. I love helping people.
Well,
I love
you can sense that from you.
People fascinate me. People fascinate me, and it's really an honor for me to hear their stories and to hear where people come from and how they got to where they are today. So as a licensed psychologist now, I really get to hear a lot of different stories about people's upbringing and how they come to be how they are, and their different pathologies and their different strengths and weaknesses. And so what I did after I left Central Michigan University, after working in Chicago, got married.
Oh.
Yep, got married a chiropractor who actually was my high school sweetheart.
Oh, that's a great story.
Yes.
See, you have a story.
Do you know where we met?
Where'd you meet?
We met in kindergarten.
No way.
Yes, we met in kindergarten.
Oh, see, you took this whole let's tell your story, right? As I knew you would. That's what I love that. You've known him since kindergarten?
Yes, I knew him since kindergarten.
Oh my gosh, that's a great story.
Yeah.
And is he's still practicing chiropractor?
No, he's retired now.
Oh,
he owns a number of different businesses, but he's retired now. Yeah, practiced for probably 30 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, but although we are divorced, we have a beautiful daughter.
Wonderful.
She's 22.
Wonderful.
Yeah, she's in grad school.
What's she studying?
She's studying to be a physician's assistant.
Okay, so still sort of in the field,
Yeah,
right?
she was a neuroscience major like me.
Oh, she was?
Yeah, she was actually valedictorian of her high school class.
Of course.
And then graduated magna cum laude.
She's got smart and beautiful parents.
She's an angel.
So what did you do to actually get into, because now we have this entire business that you have, and I want to dive into that, but you began as a neuropsychologist. That's extra training. You're a doctor, you're a PhD, correct?
Right.
So you had to go, you got through your master's, and then you go for your PhD. What was the driving force to go specifically into neuropsychology?
Well, I've always been fascinated with the brain. And the relationship between the brain and the behavior is fascinating to me. And I love the testing component. I love the hard data that comes with neuropsychology. And as a neuropsychologist, I could not only work with children, I could also work with adults and families, and I could also work, as I do now, in the criminal setting, in forensic neuropsychology. So I work in jails. And
what do you do in the jails? Do you interview inmates?
Yes.
And so is the purpose of interviewing the inmates to figure out why they did what they did, or to help them, or all of the above?
In part, it depends on the referral question specifically for the specific case.
Gotcha.
Say if I'm hired for mitigation, then what I'm doing is I'm looking for factors that might have contributed to the individual's propensity to commit the crime. So I'm not trying to explain to the court how this person did what he did. I'm looking for factors that
what do you find? So if you don't mind me asking, so I'm fascinated with it. I have my master's degree in health services administration. I did a lot of nonprofit work, and we did a lot of work licensing the jails for alcohol, drug abuse, and mental health programs. So when I was in the jail, my question will always be, and I would have sometimes people who were chained to the table across from me, what because they want to talk. A lot of them do want to talk. They really want to tell their story, and a lot of times they haven't had any opportunity, and that's a whole other psychology. But what do you find are the contributing factors? Because the jails are overcrowded, and I don't want to get into any politics with anybody. The jails are overcrowded. There's so much crime within the jail, so much drug abuse. What are the contributing factors for people? It seems like more and more people going to jail, more and more people committing more violent crimes.
Right. I usually see it's a combination of genetics and environment.
Okay, so it's both.
Yes, it's both.
So on the genetic side, you think that some people are just born inherently they have some propensity for violence?
Absolutely. We do know that there is a genetic component to antisocial personality disorder. There's a genetic component to substance use disorder. And all those things can work together. If a person has an environment in which they were exposed to crime, exposed to drugs and alcohol, or grew up in a crime-ridden area, then they're more likely to engage in an active criminal life, in a life of criminal activity.
So fascinating to me. So have they identified, and I'm getting a little deep on this, but have they identified the gene? Is that how you know that there's, that's so fascinating to me.
It is.
And I also, so when we used to do the treatment, when somebody would come out of like a 30-day or 60-day alcohol treatment program, the recidivism rate, meaning the repeat rate, was always in the 98, 99 percentile, because they're going back to the same environment that contributed to it. And so there was no way to really fix it. It was just a revolving door. And unless they were able to, or we were able to find them housing far away or jobs far away and get them out of that environment, they were just repeating. We'd see the same people back in men's group or women's group every time. And so I find that fascinating. Is that what you see in the jails? You see people coming in constantly?
Yeah, and as a neuropsychologist, I spend 5 or 6 hours with a patient.
Wow.
Yeah, in a small setting.
Are you testing?
I'm testing
them?
But I do a 2-hour interview. So I hear, sometimes I'm the first person that's ever heard their life story.
Oh, see, I think I would cry.
Oh, the stories sometimes are very, very moving. But I consider it an honor to be able to hear
I love that.
their life story. So then I administer a test of intelligence, working memory, executive functioning, personality. So I put together an entire 20-page report on this person's functioning and how it may or may not have contributed to it.
And I would imagine because you have a very calming presence about you, I would imagine that's why people really respond to you, because you're obviously, you can tell that it's true. The essence is there. You really are interested in them, and you'd like to figure out how to get to the core of it. And I think sometimes people just need to be heard. So, all right, so you work in the jails, but you also have an entire business that you run, and you've brought lots of awesome stuff. So you brought a brain, which I love, which Tracy and I don't have, neither of us have at all. So it's very nice to see one up close. So you brought a brain, which I love. I haven't seen one of these since probably middle school, high school, maybe, on many levels. But you're fascinated by how the brain works, and you've built an entire career around this. So talk about that.
Yes, I have. As a neuropsychologist, I've spent decades understanding and studying the manner in which brainwave patterns influence our thoughts and our feelings and behavior. And I have a lot of experience applying that in the clinical setting with my patients. So what I started doing years ago was, as a licensed psychologist trained in clinical hypnosis, I realized when I was doing hypnosis with my patients that they went deeper into relaxation if I used music, and particularly if I used brainwave music with an underlying binaural beat pattern.
What's a binaural? I've heard this, and we talked about it a little bit, but I think other people have, because they advertise it like on your iPod, like podcasts. Right. They have that kind of stuff. What's a binaural beat mean?
And a binaural beat is recorded when there is a beat heard in one ear that's a little bit different than a beat heard in the other ear. And your brain hears the difference. So for example, if you want to go to sleep, you listen to music with the delta wave pattern, which is 100 here and 102 here. Your brain hears the difference, which is 2. If you want to be awake and alert, you want to power yourself before a meeting, 100 here and say 14 here, so your brain hears 14.
So you both will have, I mean, it's proven that will actually relax you. Yes, most people who are on here know that I do an insomnia post almost every night because I'm awake at 2 in the morning. I can fall asleep a little bit, but then I wake up and I'm wide awake at 2, 3 in the morning, and then it takes me several hours to get back to sleep. And I try not to pick up that crazy machine that we're doing the Instagram live on, but I sit there bored. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And then I'm like, well, I'm just gonna pick up the phone and work.
Right.
But I have not tried the binaural beat at all because I wasn't sure.
Right.
Tony DeNova says she's pretty, Ted, so are you. We love you, Tony. But I haven't tried that. And so for me, I would look for a binaural beat, and you have me, and we're gonna talk about a delta. Okay. But if I wanna wake up, which I usually don't have any trouble with, that's a completely different beat. Now, are there beats so you've got alert and asleep. Are there beats for other things like calming you down, anxiety?
There are beats to increase inspiration and insight and inner peace and creativity. Yeah.
And so what beat is that? Is that a combination?
That would be alpha. That would be alpha. If your readers want to screenshot this.
I love it.
This is a good example of brainwaves that start at a delta brainwave beat, and then a theta, and an alpha, and a beta.
And what does that do? It has a calming effect on you?
It has a calming effect. Research has shown that your brainwave patterns will match the level of brainwave activity that you're listening to in the audios.
That's interesting.
It is. So I created my own binaural beat music. I bought a nice synthesizer.
Yeah, let's talk about that. So you decided to create your own because you wanted to do it the way you wanted to do it, and you had an idea that was different. You wanted to make sure you created, because you have some other stuff here. Talk about the creation process. Why did you want to create your own and something different that wasn't available?
I wanted to create my own because I wanted to record really exquisite, beautiful sounds of nature that was very unique and very powerful. And because for me, I love being in nature. I feel most balanced and peace when I'm in nature. And so I wanted to create my own audios. I didn't just want to take music off of the internet and put my vocals with it and use it for relaxation meditation. I wanted to create my own. So what I did was I bought a binaural microphone.
This thing is so cool.
Which is this.
And it has ears on it.
Ears on it. See, it's got little ears
I love this thing. It's awesome.
And so I took this all over the United States and Canada. And I recorded brooks, waterfalls, the Everglades, oceans. I recorded sounds of nature because this records music from sounds from a 360-degree perspective. So when you listen to my audios, they're the most technologically advanced way you can record music. So when you put the headphones on, if you want to sleep to ocean waves, you really feel like you are in the ocean because it's coming from all the way around your head.
I can't wait to try it. But you actually took the time. You didn't take other recordings. You made your own recordings utilizing the ear system, what's it called, the 360. Yeah. And then you put voice in it too?
Yeah.
Okay, so talk about that. Okay. Your vocals. Is it like well, I'll let you describe it.
Well, some are guided meditations.
Okay.
Some are hypnosis, and some are free of vocals. So if you just want to listen to nature sounds and you don't want to hear a voice, I have ones as well that are free of vocals. But the ones that I have with my voice are specific to decreasing anxiety.
Do you take guided imagery or guided meditation? That's to me, we did that in college. Yeah. I learned how to do that, or I participated in college, and that was so relaxing. I think Tracy might have too on O-Team. We did it on Peer Advice. Yeah, we did. And so I literally remember Pete Fisher, who was our mentor, starting it, and I think I was drooling within like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Because you get in that voice, and it's boom.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was probably the most relaxed I ever felt when somebody was guiding me through something like that. So you have a line of these though, but it's more than that. And I wanted Susie to bring everything that she has, because I think so many of us out there are stressed out, right? We are overwhelmed. We are burnt out. We're not getting good sleep. We're certainly anxious about things. And there's a lot of us who want to take a leap in business, which is one of the things that we want to talk about, how you're helping people be successful. And there's so many things that we can do that don't involve alcohol, drugs, and prescription drugs, right? There are things that you can actually do to help yourself and to improve yourself. So talk a little bit about the business side of it.
Yeah, I did create an ebook called Train Your Brain for Success. And I show specific techniques in this book of how to utilize, this is free on my website, How to Train Your Brain for Success. But what I talk about is different ways that you can maximize your brain power. So when you want to train your body, you go to the gym and you push your body day after day after day, and you become stronger and stronger because you're challenging your body with the exercises. Well, you do the same thing with your brain. If you want to improve your brain functioning, then you can put your brain to the test with some challenging activities.
That's very cool. So what do you, give us some examples of that? What would because I think what a lot of people, they get stuck. We all get stuck in this thing, and we either from our belief system or whatever parameters people are putting on us or we're allowing them to put on us, and we don't know how to break through it. We don't know how to get past it.
And we get stuck in
we really do get stuck. And then we don't have the tools, or we feel like we don't have the tools to get out or to break through. So what could somebody, give us an example of a step or two that somebody could take? Let's say they're in that mode, they've hit a plateau, or maybe they're going backwards and they want to regroup and go forward and break through. What are some things that they can do?
There's a lot of things that you can do. One of the first things I suggest is to begin by asking yourself empowering questions. We tend to go through our day and say, why am I so broke? Why am I always stressed? Why am I tired? Instead, you want to ask yourself empowering questions. So instead of saying, why am I so broke? Ask yourself, what can I do today to increase my net worth? What can I do today so that I can comfortably retire in 10 years? So if you notice, we catch ourselves all throughout the day asking ourselves negative questions.
It's true.
Yeah.
And then do you feel, so that's, it sounds, I mean, it's got some basis like law of attraction, like you're speaking it, it's all sorts of faith have it too. It's not just law of attraction, but there's proof that actually is beneficial to the brain, and you're retraining your brain to think positive. And I'm a believer in manifesting, right? So you're manifesting, and I'm sure there's this whole psychology to that. But I believe that people get stuck. All they do is say, either I'm broke, or I'm fat, or I don't exercise, I'm ugly. I can't do that. If I hear that one more time, I can't. Why can't you?
You should never, I can't and I should are two words that you should take
I don't
out.
like either one of those words. Why? I know can't. Why should?
Should, because should places judgment. I should do this. I should do that.
True. And no action. That's part of the problem with that word, I think. There's no action to it. I should, so now I'm guilty about it, and I'm not going to do it anyway because I'm saying I should. I mean, that implies I'm not doing anything. But I'm going to sit here and feel guilty about it, which is also a negative. So what would you, go ahead.
Another thing people can do is to visualize the end of your journey first. Visualize where you want to be at the end and work back from there. So what do you want people to say at your funeral? What do you want people, what kind of legacy do you want to leave? And my favorite story is to exemplify this point is Jim Carrey. In 1990, he was broke, he didn't have any money, and he had dreams of being a successful actor and comedian. So he used to drive his beat-up Toyota to the top of the Hollywood Hills every night and look out over the fields, look out over the lights of LA and dream of fame. And one night he wrote himself a check for $10 million, and he wrote for acting services rendered, and he dated it 5 years into the future. Exactly 5 years later, he learned that he was going to make $10 million for Dumb and Dumber. And so he took that check and he put it in his dad's coffin when his dad died, because it was a dream that they shared together. So he knew the power of, I wanted the end goal. What's the end goal for me? I want to see it, and I want to see it so clearly that I'm going to write it out.
Do you think people, I love that idea. I think people they're either afraid or they don't have the tools to figure out, because people have a hard time planning the next 5 minutes. So you have to really go to what is, I love the funeral part. What at the very end of your life do you want people to think about you? Do you want to feel accomplished with? and work backwards is great, but I think a lot of people have a hard time visualizing it. They don't know how to put it into words.
Right. So if you write it out, then you're more likely to manifest it.
Now, do you encourage people sharing that with other people? Is it something because people sometimes people are like, I'm journaling, and it's as if it's an 8th grade boy or girl journal that nobody's supposed to see. But I feel like sometimes the more people share, which is also why the show can be powerful when people are sharing their story or sharing their vision with people are hearing it. And I feel like that's good for everybody in the room and everybody who's in the audience, because sometimes that's the first time somebody might have verbalized something that person like Wyatt or Mike or Willow are actually thinking on the other end.
I agree. And once you share it, you have accountability.
I love the accountability. Talk about accountability, because I think people shy away from that. That's why coaching, some people don't like to hear the word coach, because God, I don't want to be accountable to anybody. Right. And I'm such a proponent of being coached, because I feel like you really can't sometimes depend 100% on yourself to be accountable. You have to have somebody in your life that helps you along and says, you should be doing this, Susie or Ted or Tracy. So talk a little bit about the accountability.
That's why it helps to have business coaches. And that's why it helps to have supportive friends and family
yes.
who share your dream.
Yes.
And sharing that and making it very specific then helps you to manifest that.
Agreed.
It helps you to bring that about. But you need to be accountable to yourself. You need to be accountable to others then once you share that dream. But writing it out, making it specific, reminding yourself on a daily basis of where it is that you want to go. All those things help with accountability, and it has to be a daily practice.
Now, I'm going to guess this. I'll probably put you on the spot, but I hope not. I'm going to guess that you have gone through all of the things that you teach.
Yeah.
So when you took that task and decided, however you manifested it, I'm going to write out the end of my journey and work backwards.
Yeah.
Was that hard for you to do for yourself?
No.
Okay,
no,
good.
I wouldn't say it was difficult. No.
And so you were able. You also have the training, but I want people to understand that you did it. I want people to understand that you.
Yes.
Yeah, she's just not here preaching, people. She.
You should see my bathroom mirror.
Oh, is it full of sticky notes or?
There are people in this room that know. Yeah, it's full of empowering sayings and how much you want to help, how many people I want to help the next year.
I love that.
How I want to spread my message. How I want to make an impact.
Do you feel? I love that, and I think I remember Scott Garrison's a fraternity brother of Tracy and I, and he used to have those all over his room and wall. Yeah. I mean, literally, it was covered in everything that was Zig Ziglar to the nth degree. But I feel like that was powerful for him. It was really powerful. Yeah. It was contagious. That's a great word.
Yeah.
And when you see somebody like that, you're like, I want to do that.
Right.
And you just have to take the risk. One of the things you said, we did a show about people who are in your circle aren't always in your corner. So when she was talking about having people who share or who love you and support you around you, who are there to help you be accountable, but in a loving way and want to support your idea, don't confuse that with necessarily the people in your circle. Make sure they're really in your corner.
Exactly.
Because I think that people mistake that a lot, and then they get caught up in the wrong way, and then their whole vision gets off and their end game gets off. And then they listen to somebody who really doesn't have their best interest at heart. And so they get off the beaten path of what they should be on. Right. And so I love to redirect people to that, because I think that if you can, and that's the other thing. I feel like people know somebody you can trust. I'm sure I've been burned in my life. Don't get me wrong, I'm not perfect, but I feel like I have a good sense of people, and you do too. You guys should definitely kind of trust that gut.
And I think you have to cut yourself some slack when you realize that the people closest to you, like for example your family members, if they're not the people in your corner, to be willing to let that go and not to 100%. Turn to those people for support.
Yep.
Right?
That's right. It doesn't mean you can't love your mom and dad or your brother or sister, but they aren't necessarily in your corner. They could be, but they don't have to be. And if they're not, let it go. Focus on the people who are in your corner. All right, so we also have, you do work with these right here.
Yes, I do. Yeah, these.
I was going to say they were CDs, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm outdated by saying CD. At least I didn't say 8-track.
Well, these are CDs, but I also have them in MP3 format. So these are the nature sounds that I recorded along with music. As I said, I'm a musician.
And you also, and show them your, because what Susie and I were talking about earlier, she has these, right? So you can listen to these on this amazing headset, for lack of a better word, that she created. talk about that because I'm fascinated by it. Because you'll tell the story.
Yeah, these are sleep headphones. So the earbuds are built in. So you can use these for sleeping, for running, for meditating, and the earbuds don't fall out of your ears the way they normally would when you wear headphones.
Love it.
So these are comfortable. These are functional. You can take the speakers out and wash them and put them back in. So we were talking earlier about how people have difficulty falling asleep. So if you take an audio such as this with ocean waves and you put it on loop and you sleep with these, then you will sleep all night.
I love
like
that.
A baby.
She was talking about something to do with running. So if they get, I don't know what that means. If they if they get sweaty, you can take the speakers out and wash them. So they're very functional. All right. So we're going to share all. See how fast it goes. We're going to share all of Susie's contact information, her website, how to download the book, the ebook she was talking about, how to get the downloads of her MP3, her store, whatever you have on her website after the show. But are there any parting words of wisdom you'd like to leave with the audience?
Yeah, I am just really interested in helping as many people as I can. This business came about because of my own personal history of trauma. And I utilized brainwave music and visualization and relaxation and meditation in overcoming my own personal trauma. And so for me, I just learned so much. And I remember saying, how can I take this experiences and use these to help other people? So that is actually how this company was created. And my goal is just to help as many people as I can, people that suffer from depression or anxiety, but also corporate executives, CEOs, professional athletes, anyone who wants to maximize their brain power, who wants to take their performance to the next level. I feel like as a neuropsychologist and a musician, I feel like I have a whole life history, life experience, but also a big toolbox to pull from that I can help a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. So passion, that's kind of what I'm here for, and I really appreciate you having me.
Oh my gosh, so Tracy, you're right. She's a joy and an angel, and you again, I use this word palpable because you can feel it. You guys could see it too and feel it. Susie, you really care, and you really do want to help people. And I love that was one of your goals that you talked about. And I think more of us should have that as part of our top 5 goals or top 3 goals. Have helping people in there somewhere. Trust me, it comes back to you 100-fold. So thank you so much for being on the show.
So
appreciate
you.
Happy Friday. Thanks, Tracy. Thanks, Instagram. Thanks, Facebook family. We're out. We'll see you back here about 2:30. Love you guys.
Love you.
See, this is new.